Hey guys, Aaron Farmer here with mysugarfreejourney.com, and today we're going to look at two new studies that just showed up, or that I found rather, that look at the really profound effects of vitamin D levels on cancer. So I had never seen either one of these studies before, and I usually um, try to keep up with what's going on with vitamin D for two reasons. Vitamin D really came on my radar during the COVID pandemic because it turned out that it was one of the main factors that determined whether or not COVID would kill you instead of giving you flu-like symptoms for a few days. There were two studies done. One, the most important one, came from New Orleans. That showed a very clear inverse relationship between vitamin D levels and COVID morbidity. It wasn't published until February of 21, but we had the preprint in the early summer of 20, and the results were astounding. And the fact that it came from New Orleans was important because of the high black population there, and the darker your skin, the less vitamin D you can make from sunlight. So you had a very wide spectrum of vitamin D levels to look at the population. In fact, some of the people they looked at had almost no detectable vitamin D levels in their blood at all. And so the lower your vitamin D levels, the more likely COVID was to kill you. And that, in my opinion, was one of the reasons why COVID was so much more deadly in the black community. In fact, I've got another article that's coming out in a couple days. If you look at that showed that the Social Security Administration estimates that they saved over $200 billion because of how many people died from COVID, and a big chunk of those were in the black community. So older black people were dying from COVID, and that saved the Social Security Administration a lot of money. Great. That's not great actually. And number two, I've talked in the past about how bad I think statins are for overall health. I don't think that cholesterol is a health marker anyone should be tracking, or that most people should be on a statin to lower cholesterol. That's my opinion. No one should take it as health advice. But the most astounding thing about cholesterol is it is a substrate for every hormone in the body, and it's what your body uses to convert sunlight into vitamin D. So it stands to reason that lower cholesterol numbers will result in lower hormones that your body needs and lower vitamin D levels. So, since vitamin D levels are correlated so strongly with poor health, it stands to reason that keeping your cholesterol levels artificially low will result in worse long term health results. And I think that's what we're seeing. It doesn't look like cholesterol is the marker for cardiovascular health that we thought it was. So, the area that I'm beginning to look into now is the effect of vitamin D on cancer rates, and I'm really surprised at how much science has already been done on the subject, and it's something that needs to be more widely known. So let's take a look at two of the studies that I've come across so far. First, there's a study from 2022, so it just came out a couple years ago, that showed an inverse relationship between vitamin D levels and 12 types of cancer. So if I were to tell you that there was a pill that you could take that costs less than a penny a day that significantly lowered your risk of 12 kinds of cancer, would you take it? What if I told you that you could get all those effects of the pill for free if you just spent 15 to 30 minutes a day in the sun? Would that be valuable information? And again, it seems like information everyone should be told about in the doctor's office every time you go in, but that message just isn't getting across. I think that if vitamin D was a medicine that was under patent, we would all be getting vitamin D shoved down our throat just like we're getting statins shoved down our throats, but whatever. So the second study was from 2009, so it's a little bit older, and this study showed that we can get the average vitamin D levels if we can get the average vitamin D levels between 50 to 60 nanograms per milliliter. The current average in America right now is 28 nanograms per milliliter. We could prevent approximately 58,000 new cases of breast cancer and 49,000 new cases of colorectal cancer each year, and 3/4 of the deaths from these diseases in the United States and Canada. So again, that if we could do one thing to prevent 3/4 of the cancer deaths from breast cancer or colorectal cancer, that would be a big deal. Those are stunning numbers, especially when we consider the financial burden on the average American for getting those diseases. It could literally mean the difference between retiring with dignity and losing everything that you've worked for your entire life. Those are absolutely stunning numbers. And what would it take to get your levels there? You could take a 2,000 IU vitamin D3 pill that sells for less than $10 on Amazon for a bottle of 100 pills. So again, just take one of those a day. The cost benefit ratio on that is incredible. It costs almost nothing. And there's this huge upside, huge benefit to keeping your vitamin D levels at at a healthy level. More people need to look into this. More people need to do it. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just a guy that started taking his health much more seriously a decade ago, and I was incredibly disappointed to see how I'd been misled by the people that I had entrusted with my health previously. There are simple solutions to a lot of the problems that we face as a society today that people aren't being told, like eat single ingredient foods, don't be afraid of meat or eggs, don't be afraid of the sun, don't be afraid to take supplements to solve and prevent problems. I mean, these are really simple things that everyone can do. They cost almost nothing. There's no cost to you, not just financially, but it doesn't cost anything to take a vitamin D pill every morning. They're simple solutions, and I would just encourage you to do your own research, look into this stuff, and see if it's something that you would find to be helpful. What do you think? I would love to know in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Thank you very much again. This is Aaron Farmer with mysugarfreejourney.com, and you have a great day. Bye-bye.